This is Katrin with Disability Rights New York. Welcome to our podcast, Empire State of Rights, where we bring you information on the most relevant topics regarding disability rights and advocacy. Today, we welcome producer Frank Petka and featured performer Nick Fergus, better known as Nick Lightning. They're here to discuss their documentary, Nick Lightning, their upcoming developments, and the importance of disability representation and inclusion in media. And before we get started, please enjoy a brief preview of Nick Lightning.
Give me a sec. This is pain in the ass put on, especially when we have a bandana on already. All right, we can start the interview when you're ready.
How many adults do you imagine are out there undiagnosed with autism, always knowing something was different?
Countless. Countless.
Tonight I'm going to take you on a ride, a mystical tour.
I don't think I can describe Nick Lightning.
When he becomes Nick Lightning and he steps on that stage, there's no stopping him.
From when he was born, there was always something going on. Nick has always had one foot in the special world and one foot in mainstream. Basically, professionals told me there's no name for it. His brain fires differently than everyone else's.
You looked at 2 minutes of video of Nick in 2019 and you said,
Boy, he's an outgoing autistic adult. 1 in every 59 kids are diagnosed with autism. In Nick's time, I bet you that prevalence would have been 1 in almost 200. Now, is that because all of a sudden there's a huge increase in babies being born with autism? The research says no.
Autism is over 1% of the population, so there's a lot of adults walking around undiagnosed. So the oldest person I've diagnosed is in his late 70s. It was like a revelation to him.
To pose the question, well, would it have been better if they were diagnosed? Well, I guess it depends. Maybe not. Autism really, for so many, is not a disability. It is an ability. It's an ability to see the world through different lenses.
The whole idea is always to mainstream everybody and make you act like everyone else in the world.
We apparently have the right perception of the world, and somehow autistic individuals have a skewed perception of the world. We'll turn that around. What if we had the skewed perception of the world? And life should be viewed through the lens of a happy-go-lucky, let me put a smile on your face individual who today we happen to call autistic.
So you guys made me feel alive.
In his mind, he is Nick Lightning. He is a star.
In Nick Lightning's world, he lives his dream.
What are some of your goals now? What do you aspire to? What do you dream about?
Well, not much. My dreams came true.
Frank, Nick, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much for having us.
Well, let's first start by talking about the inspiration for this film. How did you both decide this is what you wanted to do?
Well, you're looking at the inspiration right here. Nick and I have been friends for 25, 27 years, actually, at this point. And basically, a few years ago, 3 years ago, maybe, we were looking for, my production partner and I were looking for a topic for a documentary. We had never done a doc and we wanted to do one. And we searched high and low and we just really couldn't find the right topic. And then we just came to the realization that the most interesting person we know is right under our noses, literally, right here. And that's what kind of facilitated everything and we tried to start thinking, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And the thing that sticks out most about us, Nick, aside from just how wonderful he is and kind, and is really his gratitude and his appreciation. So we kind of started there and went backwards, like telling his story and in a condensed form, because we didn't know if we had enough to tell a full, feature. So that's why we did a short.
And to piggyback on him, when he asked, well, I started this about in 1994.
when I first started at 16, I never thought my wildest dreams gonna go this far. People had me paid as a one-trick pony, 1 year tops to be out of the music business. But just shows a positiveness, a lot of positivity, a lot of great people behind your back. It shows you can just kick down them doors and say, hey, dude, not going anywhere. It's like Gene Simmons said it best once in an interview. He says, when we first started with our face paints and everything, no one wanted us around. We kicked down I'm not going to use the language he used, so I'm going to PG it, every darn door. And he finally kicked one down at work. And that's what I had to do. And all through my career, and almost 20 years of it right now, I people call me freak, fairy, and everything else when he was just son. So, but like Frank says, I'm just happy I can do it. I can happy to put people smile on people's faces. It was well worth it.
Well, and we're happy to have the opportunity to talk with you. And so you both have talked a little bit about the past and how long you've been doing this. Let's talk about your relationship and how you did grow to be such good friends, how long you've known each other. And did this impact the filmmaking process in a positive way only, or did it also create some other friction?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So again, going back 20 plus years, we met at a local playground, a rec center playground in Philadelphia. And it was on the hockey court where I was on one team, Nick was on another team. And I just noticed after going to the court week after week that Nick was kind of being bullied a little bit, made fun of, just some things were going on there where he was, for example, he was wearing goalie equipment that wasn't enough to really protect him, and people were shooting, a bunch of people were shooting shots at him. And it was just, you could tell something wasn't right about the situation. I didn't know him. So I have a very, very low tolerance for anyone being taken advantage of or being bullied. Like I always step in that. And I try to be an example for others to do that. So I just asked some questions about who he was to the person that runs the rec center. And I said, well, listen, I want him on my team from now on. And that's that. And that person was fine with that. And then that began the friendship. It started on the hockey court, and then we started hanging out outside of that. I got to know his family and vice versa. And that was before everything. I mean, for me now, I'm married with 2 kids, and he's Uncle Nick. He's at everything. He's at all of our family events, all the functions, holidays, everything. And
I love it.
yeah, and still to this day, we're still going strong. But to the second question, it certainly does create a little more of a challenge with the filming and what direction we're going with things, and trying to rein Nick in, I guess, because he is a wild child, I guess. It made it a little bit difficult with our friendship.
A lot of language.
Yeah, maybe. Well, he can use some language, but just in general though, like the story we're trying to tell and making sure he's okay with it, because, and maybe we can wait until your later questions to get into how this connected with autism and Nick's disability.
No, I think that's great. I mean, it's interesting to know where you started together, right? And how you have been on this road together. Of course, I need to know if you're still playing hockey together. Is this something that you do, or now you've just moved to golf, apparently?
Yeah, actually, I retired from hockey. I did all my back injuries, my leg injuries, and I was very out of shape at the time too. Seriously, I was way overweight. I was 265. I looked like the Goodyear blimp on steroids.
Well, and so learning not only about each other and your friendship through sports, and then having it carry over now, as you said, into your family lives, it's such an interesting and long journey that I think has really laid the foundation for your filming, which, as you said, we'll talk some more about, but let's talk about really kind of the logistics of it, right? How long was this project in production for? And was it a different timeline than you had originally thought? Or were you really kind of thinking, okay, this is what it's going to be? And how long was that? So talk to us a little bit about the timeline.
Yes, so it actually, the genesis was pre-pandemic. And we had really gotten rolling, I think March 2020 is where everything kind of shut down. So we were probably halfway through a few months prior to that. And the project did kind of take a turn. Like I said, we were kind of working backwards with just really wanting to showcase Nick and who he is and his love of music and what he does it so differently with music. And then also, of course, his disability, which really was not defined and was never defined, other than just a generic learning disability. He didn't, as the film kind of his mom mentions, there really wasn't any answers and doctors didn't really know. There was nothing to call, it back then, I guess, say now we're calling autism part of what Nick has going on. But that led us down a different path because as we explored Nick's childhood and his schooling, and we talked to the director of the Vanguard School, which is where Nick went to high school, and we showed her some footage we had taken, and that's when she mentioned something about Nick being autistic, which hadn't even crossed our minds. So then the dynamic changed of the film to just telling the story of Nick and how wonderful of a story it is to, well, there's something to be said about possible autism going on. So that was a big decision. That slowed us down because there was a little bit of a
Kickback by my mom.
yes,
And me.
yeah, and yeah, of course, and understandably so, because of the fact that she kind of was left without answers for his whole life, essentially. And now there was someone saying, wait, he has autism. So it wasn't received too well. And we just put things aside for a while and then had some conversations with his parents about what their thoughts were. And then they were willing, well, actually, you can tell kind of what
Well,
happened
this
there.
happened. So at this point, as they say in the movie, my friend passes me. Well, we're just about to cut it right there. We just want to do a film on our friend. It was interesting. But then it was me who said something. I talked to my mom one day down going to marry my sister. I said, Mom, listen, here's where my language comes out. So you can bleep this out. I don't care. No more bullshit, no more lies, no more looking back. I'm going to be straight. I'm going to know what I'm dealing with. So I'm going to go forward this. Mom says to me, Nick, it's your decision. I'll be there for you. I'll support you. But wherever this shakes loose, just know that you gotta be okay with it. And I remember saying, Mom, I'm fit. Hey, hell, at this time, I'm not like I was about 44, 45. I'm like, Mom, my entire life's been a mystery. So I said, Mom, I'm gonna call Frankie and Pat right now on the road and tell them, let's do this. So I was the one who put it back on track. I was the one who saved the movie because I really wanted to know. And then when I went to Dr. Nassir's practice, and if you watch the movie, he says, oh, we're going to taught you as Nick Ferguson, not Nick Lightning. He wanted to establish if I had like a bipolar disorder, like I think I'm a rock star in real, like not real like thing in real life. But then he says that we had the gold something it's called. And he does weekly. He says he diagnoses in New York like every week.
Yeah.
And it's like the gold standard is his study. So
But wait, just to backtrack on that, I mean, understandably so, there was concern that if he were to find out now that he has autism and be labeled with autism or whatever that looks like, is that going to affect his life? I mean, he's thriving, he's overachieving, just really exceeding all expectations.
and plus
That was a concern of his mom, and it was a valid concern.
and plus here's the funny thing. With my disabilities, it takes me a little longer to get stuff accomplished. I never thought I'm going to be driving a car ever in my life, and now I'm driving for 7 years now. And then also I have a terrible fear of needles and blood tests. Got over that finally.
So it sounds like you've had quite the journey yourself, Nick, and thinking about having such a supportive family, right? With the conversations with your mom and having this really be your decision. It sounds like that gave you a lot of independence and confidence in moving forward. And I would say, Frank, I think that must have made you feel like having the family okay it and invest in the idea must have made the filming and really the storytelling easier, right? Because you're telling a story and you want to make sure that you're getting it right. And you want to make sure that everyone feels like that you're getting it right. So, I mean, to that end, we're talking about Nick Lightning. That's the name of the film. And where did that come from, Nick? And talk to us about how you developed that and how you embody Nick Lightning. And what does Nick Lightning really mean to you?
Okay, well, this is the funny part. When I first started in '94, I was doing this Purple Lightning because I like Prince, and Purple Rain was my favorite thing. Then fast forward, I started to do talent shows for the Rex department. So it's me, it's John Moffat, it's Marty Ferris, Emmy Hatcher, and it's Mark. So when they were in the office, he says, Nick, we got to pick a new name for you. So he says, well, let's go around and pick names, see what you like. So John's about Hot Lips Nick. So I'm not a rapper, I'm a rocker. That got shut down pretty damn fast. So Marty says, how about you Nick get down. Dude, that's stupid. Straight up. Ebony said Nick Lightning. But this is how we're going to spell it. This is how to spell it. So that's what was the winner. So that was my name ever since. Being Nick Lightning is kind of like being like a superhero. You put on your, like, you know how Superman comes, when he puts on his outfit, helps people and feels good about saving people and making people happy. And the children's hospitals dressed up like he looks like larger than life, like a real superhero. Me, when I do this, it's like in the beginning when I did this, I ran and dressed up like this at first. Not my first beginnings, but then after years of going and doing this and doing the big tours, I'm like, I gotta do some different persona. So, but being Nick Lightning is just being a person that can do music, have fun with music. Like I tell me, I have no musical ability in my bones. I can.
Yes, you do.
I got some, Frankie. Okay, but I can lip sync. Well, and then when I say I'm like the original Millie Vanilli before they got caught. As I say in the movie as a joke.
That's a good one.
But to finish what you're saying is that I love being who I am, and I love get a chance to make people smile, and it just makes me feel whole as a person. I can do some good in this world. But with all the shootings and violence going on in our city, probably in your city, I think at this point we need someone who can say, "Hey, look at the other side. Look at the side of goodness and happiness, not dread side of everything." If I could go do a show for a bunch of kids that are in need or like going through what I'm going through, I would do it in a heartbeat. I love that stuff. So that's what Nick Lightning's doing. I mean, just being for the people.
Just real quick.
No.
That's so powerful when he says that. I've never really thought of it when he's never actually made that, I guess, analogy with a superhero, but
Never did first
I
time.
mean, my kids love him to death, and all of their friends love him too. So when the friends are over, he's like, "Oh, Nick," it's like this big thing, and he just, I don't know, he just makes people happy, and they just enjoy being around him, and he's fun, and so that's
also,
great.
I love this guy here too.
Why can't I be a superhero?
This is my best friend, my brother, my main man, Pots Pans. He's the reason I'm still freaking sitting here right now these days. And I
like the analogy too, Nick, of the superhero. And one of the things that struck me in being able to see the film and really see how you do impact your audiences, and as you brought up all of the things that are happening in all of our different communities right now, maybe aren't so great. And also with especially kids and adolescents, not necessarily feeling comfortable, like owning who they are, right? So to that end, like you being so fully yourself, I think gives a lot of people permission to be fully themselves. And that is an extraordinary thing to do. So when we think about superheroes, they do extraordinary things. And that in and of itself, making people feel comfortable being who they are is just incredible. So, I mean, I thank you for doing that and bringing it to your film, Frank, as well. I mean, what a great job in producing that and letting that message be shown. And so let's talk about the screenings, right? You've had multiple screenings, including the Real Abilities Film Festival, which is coming up here soon and is international as well as around the country. And you've participated in some Q&As. Talk to us a little bit about what this experience has been like, having the screenings, doing the Q&As, being able to directly interact with the community during these events. How has that shaped more of what you're doing? And also, how does it feel doing that with the film as it is right now?
It's been tremendous, and I can't say enough great things about Real Abilities. It's been by far our best festival experience, and that's over a 15-year period. I mean, hands down, they've been so embracing, so professional, everything's put together well, the schedules, I mean, everything. The people, we couldn't have been happier and had more of a wonderful experience, and we're still connected with them. They've invited us to be part of their international program, which we are, and we've had a lot of screenings since we premiered there last year at this time. So I wanted to say that, but it really has been powerful to see other folks at the festival with disabilities, some folks that have disabilities that are they're subjects, and then other that are actually production folks that have made the films. And it really opened our eyes. There's a whole nother world, and a world that we can also impact and be impacted by. So being able to share Nick's story there to the audiences that were there, and then virtually, and then do all those Q&As, it's just amazing to get the same kind of reaction from all of these people and have all these Q&As, and for them to have to cut it because people still want to ask questions. And I'm trying to figure out what that means. I mean, should we go on the road and take him to schools? And
I love to do it.
I don't know. There's just so much. There's messaging that you so eloquently described there too. Things that are happening, people being happy with who they are, owning it, and being your true self. And that's a message in the film too, where
Right.
There's no shame, I guess, or it doesn't matter. He's happy. He's doing what he loves. And it doesn't matter what anyone thinks. And if we could have that and bottle it, it would be amazing, because I wish I could do it. And everybody we talk to, and even during the Q&As, people are just so complimentary of that, but they're never really ready to step out yet. I guess some people can, but that certainly helped us to kind of evolve, or what is the next step, and what are we going to do now?
Well, actually, to put in for a sec, the Q&As are really cool. I never ever participated in that ever in my life. It was very cool to get to talk to other people and ask questions. And I can really say, like Frankie said, I'm forever grateful for Real Abilities. They were A+ all the way. Even when I performed the day of my first screening in Queens, I remember it. I asked for it. They're nice. I said, can I do at least one sound check to see how the sounds? I don't know what's going to sound like, the acoustics. If you do a concert, it's all about the acoustic setup. It's like you got, because let's say if you put a speaker over here, it's going to bounce this way. It's going to make sound crappy. And I'm not going to do a crappy show. I'm going to be, so.
You were able to do those sound checks
Yes.
before your screening. How cool is that? I mean, and let me ask you a question. We talk about how the shutdown and COVID really kind of impacted how this, whether it was the production or screenings or really how it impacted the film. One of the things that came out of the shutdown was even what we're doing right now, right? Being able to interview over Zoom and being able to do Q&As and screenings over Zoom and remotely. What is that impact? What is the impact of the virtual world right now, Frank. I mean, as a filmmaker, and how you're able to get your not only your film out, but your messaging and really connecting with people. Talk a little bit about that change. So over like the last 15 years, as you said, with film festivals, here we are in a situation now where really it has changed in a way that we can reach more people with the same message. Just talk a little bit about how that's impacted the film and your work.
Sure. So it's been fantastic, actually, the virtual scenario. But to go back first, I guess, to the pandemic, and we creatively kind of pivoted and thought, what can we do while we're waiting and everything's shut down? And that's when the different artists start doing their own shows virtually, which is something that's never been done before. All the concerts got canceled. So then we came to Nick and said, what do you think? Of course, I love it. Let's do it. And he did a really good job with that too. And that's where we played around and put some of the other artists that are out there, and then threw Nick right in the middle, and he belonged there, and it was great. And he talked like them, and that was a lot of fun. So that's one way that we were able to kind of take advantage creatively of that situation. And the pandemic allowed us to do that. But I'd say to your other question with regards to the virtual, that certainly has opened up the ability to have these Q&As to do what we're doing now too with the podcast. I mean, I guess they were kind of around before, but they're more prominent now, right? And people are people are doing more of them. I don't know if it's necessarily helped us, speaking pandemic wise, because so many things were shut down, and it really did slow down and hurt the release of this film for 2 years essentially. So but as far as like being able to network with other filmmakers, it's been a great tool as well to be able to interact and learn from each other. And we were kind of on the cusp before, and then the situation forced us to if you wanted to keep moving, you wanted to keep producing content and growing and learning from each other. I mean, we had to do these types of things where you were on these virtuals, and everybody moved to Zoom. And that's why the Zoom stock went through the roof during like the pandemic times,
Oh yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, I don't know if that answers everything.
yeah, it definitely does. And to that end, being virtual, doing things over Zoom or any other platform that we're able to talk and share on has changed the landscape of accessibility too, right? Like where we were seeing more people with having ASL and camera, as they should be and should have been before, right? And now we have the ability to have more accessibility in the way that we're putting content out. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of not only accessibility, but really representation and inclusion in the disability community when we're talking about media, where now we have the ability to use technology in a way to be more inclusive and to have more representation. And in the film that you've created and the ones that we're, that Real Abilities is screening, we're talking about representation. Talk a little bit about that and why it's so important that we continue to do this.
It's as critical as anything that's out there today. And Real Abilities opened our eyes to when they had these other accommodations that we hadn't seen in other festivals as well, with the signing. And then they had the I forget the term,
the closed caption,
and the board that was up there too, the scroll board, and just all these wonderful accommodations. And it is on the forefront right now, and it's long overdue, really. I mean, that's the reality of it. So it's wonderful that it's getting its just due and more people are being aware, and the inclusion piece is so important. And Nick is a living example of it, and his life really speaks to that whole topic, and how it's been very hard to fit in and be included. So now it's a time that I would say that he's thriving more than ever right now. I mean, even with the experience at Real Abilities, but then also that's everything else that's come along with it, with what we're doing with the podcast with you, with the other screenings, and the other opportunities that are continuing to come along. But I can't say enough about how important the DEI movement is right now and how big of supporters we are of it.
And actually, yeah, swap back if I'm gonna do any shows soon. I'm actually working on some stuff right now. 4 months ago, I hurt my voice doing some karaoke stuff, and he warned me not to do it. And I just blatantly did it because I'm Nick freaking Lightning. Then it took me out for a while, so I just started getting back into singing, rehearsing, sort of thing. And hopefully, when I do the next screening, I'm gonna do a pre-concert and a post-concert with it. Like nothing too much, just like a couple songs here and there. It's just gonna be just messing around, having fun.
Nick, can you speak to that too? What it means to you, the inclusion and kind of this movement right now?
Yeah, I can definitely speak to it because I live it every day of my life. The seclusion is when I was younger and doing all this stuff, no one understood me. I'm going back to 94. When I stepped on the stage for the first time, I had so many hateful looks or daggers and kill. I'll be dead by now, seriously. But fast forward to now, all these Zooms and all the stuff out here that's help promoting this, like you guys and other people we've been on with, on this whole entire thing. It's just that it's like shows me how the future can be so bright for people with disabilities. Because we were like freaks, mutants, and outcasts, is what WC said part of in the movie. If I can, and somehow through my fame and my notoriety, somehow get to point out that, hey, we're people too. We're not freaks. We're not mutants. We're not people you're scared of. We're just normal people with a different circumstances. So I feel like doing this, doing the movie premieres, is a good tool to show people, hey, it may be different. It may look different, but inside we're all still the same.
That's really awesome, Nick. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you really put it so well that there's so much benefit for, especially like kids coming up, seeing you on screen, seeing you in your film, and also performing whenever you're performing. Because when we're able to see people that are like us, doesn't matter what the like us is, we can identify with who they are as we're being representative, right? And you're giving that opportunity for other kids who might think, man, I'd like to be Nick Lightning, right? And to know that that is available to them. So,
Yeah, of course.
I mean, again, back to the superhero thing, these are things that are truly like, you said, if you could bottle it, bottling Nick Lightning really is what we're talking about, right? Because you're giving that representation a really huge platform. So I really appreciate all of sharing all of that with us. And Nick, let's talk a little bit how we can follow you, right? I mean, you have a great audience now, but I'm sure it's growing and you'd like it to grow a little bit more. Let's talk about where you are in social media, how our audience can reach out to you. How can we see any of the different screenings or shows that you're doing when you're not doing karaoke? When can we see you?
Well, first of all, it's never been nothing when I do karaoke. Yeah, I gotta lay off for a little bit. But yeah, I'm on Facebook at Nick Lightning. It's spelled LAGHTINING, but we spelled it's so many different ways we spelled
He
it.
spells it many ways, so just keep trying to spell lightning however you want. You'll find
Or just for Nick, and just look for the ugly, and just look for me in a kiss outfit. You'll find me. No,
we can provide maybe the link.
Yeah,
That's okay
exactly.
if you wanted to include it.
And actually, and the other thing is that I just been busy because with the pandemic, and then me having my illnesses and everything being on in my life. Like a year ago, my dad passed away, so that pretty much screwed my mind up and stopped me dead from music and everything else. So I'm still trying to get back into it. It's like I'm doing small things here and there. I actually 4 months, months ago, I was with some friends that used to be my other friends. My other friend did Elvis. This guy was the sound guy and manager, but now he sings with the old group he used to work with. So they invited me up one day, went up to play. It was very fun. Just here, there, a little bit. But hopefully by the fall, I can get a couple venues and start ripping it again because I miss it so much.
So screening wise, we're still figuring out what to do. We have a short version of the film, which is our short 28-minute version, and we also have a 47-minute version where we kind of go into some of the things of involving our relationship and the other person in this Pat Taggart, who's the director and does all the technical stuff. So we are both interviewed in the film too, and we kind of tell the story, and we thought that was going to be the way to go, but we shortened it. So are we going to make it longer? We kind of would think it would be cool to make a feature out of it, but
with it.
yeah, it's still hard to figure out like the right ending and what story to tell. So we're still struggling with that. But as far as screenings, we really don't have anything lined up at this time. We're going to do a few more local ones in our neighborhood in Philadelphia, in the Manayunk Roxborough area. We're going to do something over the summer because we never had that type of release. We had a few private premieres with everybody had to wear masks and there's a lot of restrictions. So we never really had that kind of a true traditional type of release. But we're open to screenings and doing things, and still again trying to figure out how to incorporate different organizations too. We're certainly open to working with anyone, just trying to flesh out the best way to approach that. You know.
And we will put in the notes of this podcast, we'll put your social media handles. We'll also have a link for people who would like to have a screening or host a private event for you and with you in the notes. And certainly we would love to be able to be a part of that at some point. Having the links in the notes will be great for our audience and also for us, so we can circle back to you. And so, like, as we're talking about, so we're really talking about a very long journey from the beginning of like the inception of the idea and to getting to the screenings. Frank, talk to us a little bit about what advice would you give filmmakers who, I mean, you used the word pivot a couple of times, which I feel like ended up being the word of 2021. You know, how do you pivot? How do you change up what you were doing? And this isn't just about COVID, right? I mean, anything could become a barrier as a filmmaker. Talk a little bit about that, and talk a little bit about maybe some advice that you might have for aspiring filmmakers, what to expect and how to really get through it.
Sure. So I think it's crucial to have a good support structure, to have good family and good friends around you, and people that, I mean, you have to set a goal for yourself and you have to stick with that goal. There's so many filmmakers that aspire to make a film and they maybe get halfway through it or a little bit further and they just give up because it gets too hard. But my advice would be anything good in life is hard. So, I mean, you really have to dig in. You have to love what you're doing. You have to be passionate. You have to pick something, especially for a documentary, you have to pick someone or something that you're very passionate about, and to tell that story. You should always just keep focused on that. I keep reminders around. I can constantly, I'm putting things in my calendar to accomplish just little things every few days or every week to contribute to the filmmaking process as we went through this with Nick's story and some of the other things that we've done. But it's easy to get discouraged too. It's like anything else in life with our day jobs or with, you know, anything that we're doing on a personal level or anything we're involved with event wise or sports wise. It's easy to get knocked off track, but it for me and for us was easy to stay on track because of Nick. And when the ends game was telling Nick's story, being able to share his story, being able to speak to folks like yourselves on these wonderful platforms like Disability Rights here, which is fantastic. And I didn't even talk enough and give it just to right there with Real Abilities and just what a wonderful job you do. And we went back and looked at some of the other guests you have, and it's just very powerful stuff. So you're making an impact. We wanted to make an impact too with this film. and we feel like we're on that journey to do that. But
Mhm.
the filmmakers, the advice is just be resilient, be determined, make sure you have a few people there that are going to stay the course with you. And it's a fight just to get through it. And you're going to have obstacles, you're going to have to stop, you're going to have to pivot, but at the end of the day, it's well worth it, to get your message out there. And you can say you made a movie, and not a lot of people can say that. So it could be a
Well,
legacy thing too.
Or as I say in my movie, I don't see that many people have documentaries made about them.
Yeah.
Right.
It's special. It's a special gift to Nick. He's a special gift to give to the world. And the best way to do it was through film. And the best way to do it in this case was through kind of like a shorter film. So that's kind of, I guess, my answer to that.
Well,
Yeah. And Nick, if you can talk to us a little bit about what advice would you give to people starting their journeys as performers or self-advocates? Because you're both. I mean, you're a performer and a self-advocate, and you are using energy in both to really be successful at both. Talk to us a little bit about what advice you would have for someone really starting to do what you are doing.
Well, if I gotta give them advice, I'm gonna tell them it's gonna be really hard. And a lot of doors closing in your face. You just gotta be, like, for instance, resilient, strong-minded, and just break down as many doors as you can. And sometimes you might have to break down a door, get in a guy's face, and just shred a guitar from him or something. And just be like more, because you got people gonna shut you down. And I have my fair share. And I've been in this journey for a long time. I'm 47, most been since I was 16. It's not my first rodeo. But if I can tell people something, start something I'm doing. So just be resilient, be positive, just you're gonna have roadblocks in front of you, but you guys just jump over them and just be strong in them. So I'm just trying to say is that be yourself, be true to yourself, and never ever let the people doubt you get in your mind. Because if you want to be a performer in this life, in this world like I am, you gotta be strong-minded, have a lot of guts, and when to flip the bird to people and say, yo, here I am. So that's would be my advice to the people want to start a music journey. Just be like
That's great advice.
a
That is
ravaged,
going.
I was gonna say, be like a ravaged pit bull. That's what I have to say to that. And that worked.
And that has worked. Well, is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience before we sign off today? I feel like we could probably talk for hours, but I want to be conscious of your time as well. Anything else that you'd like to share with our audience today?
I mean, just to follow up on what Nick said too, and I don't think I mentioned it. It's just don't let anyone set limitations for you.
True.
Be true to yourself and always strive to be a better version of yourself every day, and do that by spreading kindness.
Showing love towards people.
Yeah.
And also just being the person that you want to be. Like me, I'm just a kind, loving person. I see a lot of ugliness in the world. I don't have one mean bone in my body. Because I was lucky in life. I had a lot of good supports and had a great dad, God rest your soul, great friends, brothers, and also a great mom who's been with me since day one. She's been the rock behind Nick Lighting, and so is my sister. They don't get enough credit in the movie at all, both of them. I'll tell you a quick thing before we sign off. Not being alive in a garage, looking like we're turbines at the top. If you're spray painting my banner in a closed garage, the banner I use every day in my shows, my sister came in her work clothes. It cost more than this bandana. She actually took the spray paint can from my mom and worked in her work clothes after she got done at a 9-hour work schedule. That's what it means to me to have family and friends behind me. To have all these people believe in you. And to this very day, I'm still blown away. But like Frank said, like, Real Buildings, how great they've been to us. You guys for being great. I'm just grateful for anybody we talked to during my journey on podcasts or live or whatever be the case, that we just now can show the world, hey, there's a lot of good out there. There's anything ugly or bad or sad or anything else. I'm going to actually share a quote from a friend of mine that was in these business that passed years ago. He says to me, you can always rock the stage day in and day out, but when the stage does not rock, you just got to somehow figure out how to make it work for you. Plug in a couple amps, make the guitars louder, or just doing it and make the stage your own. So
That's great advice.
I'm gonna leave it as that, and your viewers can make their own conclusions to that.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for sharing all that you have with us today. I can't wait to talk to you again. Hopefully we'll be able to get some follow-up and see what you're doing in a couple of months from now.
Mhm.
And have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. You rock. See ya.
Empire State of Rights has been brought to you by Disability Rights New York, your source for disability rights and advocacy. If you enjoyed our program, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this post. The video for this episode is available on our YouTube channel with closed captioning and ASL interpretation. If there is a subject you would like us to discuss, please email podcast@drny.org or comment below. For more Empire State of Rights, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.